Breaking, ladies and gentlemen, the latest intel on Iran. We have a military insider with us from KLW World News, Lee Wheelbarger, who worked as an inventor and engineer for the U.S. Army for several years with a huge budget and a multitude of patents as well. So, Lee, you've always got your finger on the pulse, and it's great to have you on the show here at Leak Project. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here, and I'll get rid of radios in the background. Yeah, there's a lot going on, so I'm glad we could hook up and let everybody know what's happening here. So, just in the last few hours, the U.S. Navy has sank a collection of Iranian naval vessels. In fact, I've got the report right here. Can you hear that, Rex, or no?
I can't hear the report, so maybe you
Okay,
could
that's
just
that's all
tell
right.
us what's
Yeah.
going
So
on.
according to President Trump, 9 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk, and so Trump said also that uh, the United States Navy has destroyed the command and control and the Iranian naval headquarters. They have sank 9 of their larger navy. And said that other than that, the rest of the Iranian Navy is doing fine.
So walk us through this. Let's go back to yesterday when the launches were initially sent out. Let's start from the beginning. What happened?
Well, actually, it started 2 days ago.
Okay.
Um, and it started 2 days ago with, well, 3 days ago now, with the Iranians who support the Houthis, those Houthis and Hezbollah bunkers that were full of weapons and caches and so on and so forth. The Israelis started pounding those locations because those were the weapons that the terrorists were going to use to attack Israel. So, preemptively to the strike, um, the Israelis decided to take out those so they don't have to fight against Iran and the Houthis, excuse me, Hezbollah and Hamas at the same time. The main bunkers were uh, Hezbollah bunkers were the main bunkers that the Israelis took out just north of Israel. That was the first thing that kicked off. The second thing that kicked off was Pakistan started attacking Afghanistan, and that's kind of a game. So is that the fighters that are normally fighting in Afghanistan have went to Iran to support Iran because the Islamic regime in Iran is who supports terrorism. So all the terrorists ran home to Bama, Iran to help Iran. And when those terrorists fled from Afghanistan to go fight in Iran, it left the positions in Afghanistan weak. Pakistanis saw that and decided to take advantage of it. So that's why the Pakistanis are attacking the Afghans. Additionally, we as Americans don't normally strike during the daytime. We as Americans don't normally strike Islamic countries during Ramadan. However, there was a major meeting between 40 senior officials, all taking place, all at the same location, and the United States and Israel knew where that location was. So the United States and Israel agreed to strike that location and strike it hard, from what I understand, with 40 bunker busters. They hit this single compound and killed 40 leaders. And so there is a report now that the new leader has been elected and has already been taken out by the Israelis or the U.S. Now, that hasn't been confirmed, but that's pretty much how this is going to work. Anybody they elect immediately gets a target on their back, and they'll be the next one to, well, receive a package from the U.S. or from the Israelis. Now, the attack, when it came, they hit them with missiles, they hit them with stealth fighters carrying missiles and bombs, and they but mainly missiles though. They some of the missiles are technically called glide bombs, but anyway, they deployed. Oh, hold on one second. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Sorry about that. I got keys to the facility here.
Oh, no
Um,
worries.
the So when we went in with stealth aircraft and cruise missiles and hit everything that needed to be hit in the first wave. Now, the interesting part about the way we've done this is we haven't done it as an all-out assault against Iran or the Islamic regime that has been in control of Iran for 47 years. We are doing everything very limited and spaced out. And by doing that, it's allowing us to do basically a real time BDA. So that's a bomb data assessment. Um, and so when we drop a bomb, we want to see if we're destroying the target. How well did that bomb do at hitting that target? And so when we went in, we hit the main stuff first. We hit the Chinese radars. We hit their command and control for their Navy. We hit their communications infrastructure. Um, and we hit key locations that had leaders and commanders, as well as we hit facilities that had the big heavy stuff. The long range missiles are what we need to worry about. The hypersonic missiles are what we need to worry about. Nuclear stuff is things that we need to worry about. So we've been hitting those key long range things first. And so we're continuing to soften up and degrade their fighting capability. I mean, they may know jujitsu, but the first thing we're going to do is break both their arms. Okay, good luck with your jujitsu now. Okay, next we're going to break both your legs. We're not going to kill you right off, but we're going to severely degrade your capability. And so that's what the U.S. Has been doing to Iran with a little assistance from Israel. I think the U.S. is carrying the vast majority of the burden here. Not to say that Israel's not doing anything, but I don't think Israel is carrying all the water. Not when you see the number of tankers that we've moved in, over 100 attack aircraft, over 30 tankers. Huge. In fact, there's total aircraft involved over there now is over 500. Yeah, everything.
Well, let me ask. I recently read a post from Tucker Carlson several days ago.
That stupid fucker Tucker.
The only reason I'm bringing that up is because in the post he was comparing, like in previous countries that we've gone to war with, Afghanistan, Iraq, comparing that to Iran. Iran is a much larger nation, bigger population, stronger military. So could you see a conflict that could drag on similar to the previous wars that we've gone in the Middle East that have gone on for decades? I mean, could this be a breaking point for the U.S.?
Don't think so. Don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because these people have been imprisoned by their own government for 47 years. They don't want to be radical Islamists. They don't want to be the leaders of terrorism and supporters of terrorism around the world. The leadership of the country does. The general public does not. The general public, as far as true Iranians, not part of the Islamic regime, you have to look at it as it's, terrorists came in and took over and they're holding a country at hostage. So the people want it. The people want their king back. So they want the prince that's there now, the prince that came here to the United States. They want to go back to what they were before. And I feel like that once the Islamic regime who's in charge is decapitated, until that takes place, it can be hard to do. But once the Islamic
Hey, Lee,
is,
we're having some
yes.
serious audio issues on your end, man.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I
That's all
said
right.
once the Islamic regime is taken care of, and they've removed the Islamic regime from power, and they've got the prince in there, and they can go back to the royal structure that they had before. I think the people will love it, and it'll be a lot more stable for all of the Middle East, because you have to remember, even though we went into Afghanistan, even though we went into Iraq, even though we went into Syria, every single time we went in, we had two problems. The Russians and the Iranians were supporting terrorism in those countries and radical Islam. And now that Iran is being removed from that equation, they won't have the influence that they did before. They won't have the weapons, they won't have the men, they won't have the money, they won't have the support. So uh, freedom and democracy can grow without the weed killer of Iran or the cancer.
I saw a post from President Trump. I think it was on Truth Social, or maybe it was on X, from yesterday after the initial attacks or some of the attacks on Iran. And it said that Iran has threatened the U.S. with serious attacks. They better not do that, because if they do, then they'll be really in trouble. Basically, is what it said. I mean, I'll have to find the exact post. But are you familiar with that post?
Yes, and I'm familiar with. So 3 days ago, a guy came on my show and said he was from Austin, Texas, and said, should we be worried about terrorists in the U.S. and sleeper cells? And I said, absolutely. You're in Austin, you can absolutely have sleeper cells in Austin. And now we've had a terrorist attack in Austin, and I think there's 3 dead and 14 injured.
Something happened in Austin?
Yeah, there was a mass shooting last night in a bar in Austin. 3 dead, 14 injured. And it's believed to be a terrorist attack.
That was fast.
Yeah, well, but that's why I said 3 days ago, you got to be watching out for this stuff. I wouldn't have went anywhere in public if I were in Austin.
Do you think it's going to get worse?
Yes,
Huh.
absolutely.
So who was taken out in Iran? Like the top
The
leaders?
top 40 people, the Ayatollah, the top military people and the top government people. They dropped 40 or 20 bunker busters or 20 big bombs. I don't know the exact model number of the bomb, so I don't want to say bunker busters. But big bombs like bunker busters. They dropped 20 of them and killed 40 people in one compound. And the Iranians didn't think we knew where they were. The Iranians didn't think we would attack because it was Ramadan, and the Iranians didn't think that we would attack because it was daytime. Those were 3 things they got wrong.
Now, if the leadership was taken out, who's going to replace them?
Well, they voted and replaced him with a new guy, and it's now being reported. That's what I was saying a minute ago. Now being reported that supposedly that guy who was the replacement has already been hit, struck by a strike, and killed. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but supposedly the new leader they just voted in a few hours ago is now among the casualties.
Man, it seems like this war is going to be turned into a biblical war, is the way that I
don't
see
think
it.
so. I don't think so.
I hope you're
cut
right.
off their money. We've cut off their money supply. We've taken out the top 40 leaders, and we are destroying their Navy. We're destroying their Air Force. We're destroying their Army. They don't have anything to fight back with. They don't have anything to give anybody else. So basically, we're turning Iran into the humble bumble in the cartoon Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They're mean as long as they got their teeth and their nails, but if you defang them and declaw them, they're not nearly as vicious as they were before. And dead people don't really say a whole lot or do a lot.
Was Iran ever a democratic nation, or has it always
Oh yeah,
been
it wasn't quite a democratic nation, but it was really close. When the
like,
Shah, yeah,
was it in the
when,
70s, or when was it?
yeah, in the 70s. Yep, in the 70s. In the 70s, man, they had discos. It was a totally different country, man. It was like Miami.
So, I mean, this is what I'm kind of picking up from the media and the way that I'm following these political moves that are taking place. We go to Argentina, we build up a huge military force out there. Then they strategically capture Maduro and
Venezuela, you mean?
Venezuela. Did I say Argentina?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Sorry, folks.
Don't
Venezuela's
cry for me, Argentina.
Argentina's next. It was a Freudian
Yeah,
slip.
yeah. No.
I
Yes,
hope
it's
not.
Cuba's next. Cuba's
Uh,
next. Cuba and Colombia.
Okay, and that's actually something that I had forecast at the beginning of the year. I said Cuba is going to
Yep.
be next. Military operations, special forces operations in Mexico, which we just saw. So it seems like
Yep.
we're both forecasting some events that are taking place. And you know what? I'm reading through the comments, and it's a mixed bag in here. And folks, if you don't have anything constructive to say, just please don't say it at all. I've known Lee now for, geez, what, 7-8 years, and
Yeah.
and I understand that there's a lot of people upset about what's going on right now in the Middle East. And if I had a choice, I definitely wouldn't want our troops out there. We've already seen casualties on our side. It's not good.
Five.
You know, war sucks. So, but Lee has a lot of information about what's going on that a lot of people don't, because the people that Lee knows, because of his position with the military, you know, as like, what was your official position with the Army?
I had 2 senior positions with the Army. I was the senior technologist for the Dismounted Battlespace Battle Lab in Fort Benning, and I was senior technical staff for CCOM, Communication Electronic Command. I was in charge of all wireless devices for the U.S. Army.
That'll give you some connections, folks. I mean, so
Yeah.
so look, I understand everybody knows everything on the internet, like these, and anyway, so let's hear what
Yeah, it
Lee
has to
has
be
to
true.
say,
I
'cause I
saw
think
it
this
on
is
the
really
internet.
important. What's that?
Yeah,
What
it
did you
has to
say,
be
Lee?
true. We saw it on the internet. It
Yeah,
has to be true.
everything's
We
real.
saw it on the internet.
It's all real on the internet, all of it. Especially if you think it's real. Then, so I mean, you gotta research everything and not just one side of the coin. Otherwise, you're missing 50% of the situation. And so I'm doing my best to bring in as much information as I can, because I want to know what's going on, and I follow the evidence. I follow where the evidence takes me. But I just think that with the way that, okay, so go ahead, Lee. What were you going to say?
And I don't do it anything as these people are right or these people are wrong. I just report what's there. I just report the facts. I don't care. I'm not political. I don't get into all of that stuff. I don't get into Hollywood. I don't report any of that stuff. I don't do sports, none of that. I do real world news that matters to people, and I just tell them the truth. Some people like that. Some people don't. Ones that don't, there's plenty of other people that they can go watch.
Or, you know, you've been doing podcasts now for about 8 years, and
14 years.
14 years. And if somebody hears something you say that they don't agree with, then they're going to stick to that. 10 years later, they're like, well, he said this 10 years ago, so everything he says must not be true.
Right.
Like,
Right. Okay.
Whatever. But anyway, let's
right,
just,
well,
sorry, I was just reading through some of the.
If they've got proof of that, I'd love to see it.
Okay. So let's go back to Venezuela.
Sure.
Because, and then we kind of, I sidetracked. I said Argentina. So we build up a huge military force in Venezuela. We do a strategic target to get Maduro and capture Maduro. And then boom, regime change, and things seem to kind of go back to normal. And then we move our troops and military over to Iran, close to the Strait of Hormuz. And we've got this huge military buildup out there. And then we do these strategic ops to take out the top 40 leaders out there. So it seems to be quite a bit different than Iraq and Afghanistan, where I think they were playing the long haul game out there. But you think this is just going to be like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and then move on?
Well, I don't want to say it's going to be that fast. You know, that would be a matter of days. This is going to be months, possibly a year. to get a new government stood up in the country. But you're getting rid of a radical Islamic terrorist organization that has been the ruling party over a country for 47 years. I mean, I remember when they took, I remember Iran the way it was before. So, there's a lot of people in the country that have no idea, but the people of Iran, the Iranians are dancing right now because the Ayatollah is dead. And Trump has said, lay low until the bombing is over and then come take your country. Trump is the first president in the last 47 years to have the kahunas do this. So this is, something that needs to be done. The world sees that it needs to be done. And the best part about it is countries who told the United States, you cannot attack Iran from our territory. And Iran knew that, and Iran was supposed to be friends with those countries. The Iranians have now attacked them. So the Iranians have hit multiple locations in countries that were trying to be neutral and now turned those countries against Iran. Saudi Arabia, UAE, there's numerous countries that are now supporting America in removing the regime because they were attacked and they did nothing. In fact,
Right.
the only 7-star hotel in the world, or one of the only, I think it is the only 7-star hotel in the world, was hit last night by an Iranian drone. $2,500 a night to stay there, and got hit by a drone. There's no military significance to that location at all.
Why would they do that? I saw that there was some video footage of that hotel you're talking about
in Dubai.
In Dubai. And
yeah,
like, I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would an Iranian drone strike that? What's all that's going to do is piss them off. Like, it's not going to do anything.
It
doesn't make sense.
It's just like they wanted to hit the World Trade Center. That is the World Trade Center. They're the most prestigious hotel in the world, or one of. So they're terrorists. That's a worldly thing. So it's a symbol, just like hitting the World Trade Centers.
Okay, but they didn't. Yeah. But they used a drone.
Yeah, they used a drone.
How much damage did it do to the?
It burned a good bit of it. It didn't burn a lot of it, but I don't think it killed anybody. But the fact that they did it was not a good thing for them to do at all.
I mean, if they've got the U.S. going after them, they don't need, Dubai and other very wealthy nations to get mad at them too.
They don't care.
Wow.
Yep, they don't care. And the interesting part about all of this is they have called for the evacuation of Tehran. And the fact that they've called for the evacuation of Tehran leads people to believe that they may want to launch a nuke. And a lot of people say Iran doesn't have nukes. I disagree with that. I think Iran was provided with nukes from the Russians.
That's what I was going to say.
And they are trying to incorporate how to put those onto a hypersonic missile from China. And so,
I mean, sorry to interrupt, Lee. I was just going to say, like, for the past 30 something years in the news, it's, in Iran is just weeks away from obtaining a nuke. They've been using that card for 30, 40 years 30 years. And I just think to myself, whenever I see that news, I think, well, gee, didn't the Soviet Union collapse? And what happened to all of the nuclear weapons that disappeared out there? Maybe they got sold in the black market. And I've just questioned that as well. Like, wouldn't Iran have the ability, or at least the money and the resources and the connections to purchase some of these potentially Soviet nuclear weapons?
Yeah,
and that's what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, so what's been happening is there are certain planes in the Russian inventory that are specifically designated to haul nuclear weapons and nuclear parts and nuclear material. The simple fact that we've been seeing those aircraft flying into Iran tells us that they are supporting them with nuclear materials, nuclear weapons. So, that those aircraft are made for one thing and one thing only. So they're not going to be flying into Iran on sightseeing. And additionally, when they went in and when they came out, they were so heavily laden that they had to stop for fuel. And when they did that, they actually turned off their transponders on their aircraft, landed, refueled, and then took off and then turned their transponders back on. So we couldn't see them landing at those airports. And we know that we have coverage of those airports because we can see the other aircraft that are at the airport. So there's no reason for that transport aircraft to turn their transponder on and off unless they're hiding what they're trying to do. And we've seen this again and again and again. So, there's been well over a dozen flights into Iran from these aircraft. And then the Russians are trading Su-30Ms to the Iranians. This started in 2017. The program didn't start, well, they made the arrangement in 2017. The delivery of the aircraft didn't start until 2020. But supposedly the Iranian pilots are so horrible at flying that the Russians are having to fly the aircraft because the Iranians are not capable of learning the aircraft effectively. So the Russians are actually flying the Iranian Su-30s. And there's also Russian ships and Chinese ships in the Strait of Hormuz right now. So we're making sure that we sink everything around them, but don't sink them. But don't think if one of those ships fired on an American jet or on an American drone or on an American ship or an Israeli ship, don't think for a minute that those vessels wouldn't be sank, just like the Iranian vessels. If you fire at this point in time, if the Russians fire on a U.S. ship with their ship in the strait, that ship will be sunk.
Okay, now tell me if this is accurate or not. 20 years ago, approximately, I worked with a dude that was in the Navy, and he was working on satellite technologies. I think he said from the 90s, where these satellites could track nuclear isotopes anywhere, even underground, underwater. So if you've got a briefcase nuke, as an example, they would be able to track that briefcase nuke pretty much wherever it went. And that was 30 years ago. So like the Star Wars project, can you talk about that?
Yeah, we have sensors that can detect radioactive material. I'm not going to say, yeah, we could go deep and detect way underwater or detect way underground, but we can detect not only what the material is, but what country the material came from.
So wouldn't they be able to track nuclear weapons being moved through these aircraft?
Yeah, they can. Absolutely. They're not going to tell the general public about it.
Okay. So if they are moving nukes through these aircraft, like you're talking about potentially, and they're tracking it, they're not going to tell us.
They're not going to tell us. Absolutely not. Just like what's going on in Texas. They're not going to tell us about what's going on down there with the laser, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. Let's get into that. Actually, so now I'm going to give my theory on this. And this is just kind of what I'm thinking through anyway. So we've got a party balloon shot down by a laser. And
yes.
then a few days later,
it's more than just a party balloon shot down by a laser. Go ahead.
Okay. A few days later, a custom or a border patrol drone, one of our own, gets shot down by a laser at a military base that's close to Fort Bliss in Texas, close to El Paso, just south of there. And so we've got two friendly fire incidents in the course of days. and from experimental lasers. And then we've got the whole anthropic AI fighting with the Pentagon, saying we're not going to give you full autonomy and we're not going to let you use this technology for full US complete surveillance with AI. And so they get blacklisted from the Pentagon. And then OpenAI comes in, well, we'll help out, but we won't still do what they anyway. But so I thought to myself, this is what I think's going on. I think that they're doing beta tests with AI autonomous technologies, allowing for these lasers to be ran by autonomous systems for beta tests to see how effective they are. And they've already failed twice. That's what I think.
Okay, so
but I read it on the internet, Lee.
Yeah. Well, then you've got the answer.
I've got it.
So the laser is a 20 kilowatt laser. That's enough to run 10 houses. That's 800,000 times stronger than a laser that will get you arrested. If you go outside with a quarter of a watt laser and you fire that at an aircraft, then you get arrested for that. These guys have a 20,000 watt, not a quarter of a watt, a 20,000 watt laser. Not only did they fire it, so first off, it's an Army weapon, and the Army's been testing it, and the Army has very stringent protocols for using it on a military base through a thing called a safety release. So what happens? They transfer this technology from the U.S. Army to the Customs and Border Patrol. Now, Customs and Border Patrol doesn't have safety releases like this. Customs and Border Patrol, it's off of the military base, so now it's in Customs and Border Patrol's hands. So what do? They take the thing out and they fire it through the airspace of 2 airports. So first off, that's illegal. You can't fire a laser anywhere near an airport. Secondly, they have 0 authorization to do it. The target that the radar, and the radar is supposed to be good enough to be able to detect what's called the microvortices of the rotor blades. As the drone's propellers spin around, the radar is supposed to be accurate enough to see that those are drone propellers. Then to back that up, they're supposed to have a system that detects to see if there's a thermal signature. So they have a thermal weapon sight that's supposed to detect to see if there is a thermal signature there that looks like a drone as opposed to a party balloon or a helicopter. And so that failed. It did not prove to them that it was a party balloon. And then the third thing in the loop is a human being. And they're the ones that actually squeeze the trigger. So all 3 safety features on it to make sure that they only shoot down drones failed. It didn't show, the radar didn't show it was a drone. It said it was a party balloon. The thermal imager didn't show it was a drone or a helicopter. They still said it was a drone, even though it was a party balloon. And then the person firing it didn't know any better, and they shot down a collection of 4 party balloons. So I went to El Paso, Texas, to investigate what was going on, and we've now got an air raid coming in to Israel.
Right now, like literally?
Yeah, right now we have.
All right, so folks, if you're just joining us, Lee Wheelbarger is sharing with us live intel now.
There's an attack taking place in Israel as we speak. We've got sirens going off all over Israel right now. I need to be able to share my audio with you.
Yeah, the only way I can think of that you can do that is if you can do like a somehow share the screen or the window.
Yeah, right here. And I'm giving you the audio too. Can you hear the sirens?
No.
Wow, I wonder why you don't hear the sirens. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I got all kinds of sirens going off right now.
Jeez. And what are all these red pins that we're
That's
looking
where
at?
the missiles are going to hit.
That many? They're launching a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Now, it seems like they used up a bunch of their missiles and military
Right.
hardware
Can you
previously.
hear that now?
No.
Can you hear noise in the background? Okay. I just tried to redo it. But anyway, yeah, so this whole area here is now under a missile alert. And you can see there we got an interceptor going up right there. Let me change this for you. That'd be in this screen right here. See that? That was an interceptor that just went up. That was over Hoffa. So we got any more coming in. There was an
I just
another
saw
explosion
something.
right there. Yep, that was an explosion right there. There was another that was shot down.
So that's from their Golden Dome.
There's one in blue. Yeah, they have Iron Dome.
Iron Dome. Okay.
David Sling and Arrow. So you can see them right there, northern Israel. You can see the missiles coming in and being hit. Northern Israel, right there.
What do they use to hit the missiles that come in through their Iron Dome?
They have a lightweight missile that's extremely fast, extremely cheap. They've got them down to, I want to say, under $100,000 a piece, and they're radar guided, and they work really, really well. In fact, they have successfully shot down, I think, 97% of all of the missiles that have been fired.
Wow.
That's doing pretty
97%. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
how long do you think this is going to go on for?
weeks. Yep. I think it'll go on for weeks.
What do you think about the whole Anthropic situation right now with the being blacklisted from the Pentagon?
I haven't gotten into that, so I can't tell you a whole lot about that.
Okay. Wow, man, this is wild. So I want to share this. This is from US. Let me do a screen share. Pull this up. Check this out. This is from U.S. Central Command just a few hours ago, as of 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This is very unfortunate. My prayers go out to those that have lost family members or loved ones or friends. March 1st, 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action and 5 are seriously wounded as part of Operation Epic Fury. Several others sustained minor shrapnel injuries and concussions and are in the process of being returned to duty. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. The situation is fluid, so out of respect for the families, we will withhold additional information, including the identities of our fallen warriors, until 24 hours after next of kin have been notified. That sucks, man. What can you tell me more about Operation Fury?
Don't think so.
Okay. How come?
I don't know what you're referring to as Operation Fury.
That's the Epic Fury. That's the
Epic.
operation.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Epic Fury. That's not okay. Yes, Operation Epic Fury. Yeah, I can tell you all about that. So
okay,
we've got 2 carriers in the area. We've got multiple destroyers in the area, possibly a third to be brought in. We've got over 500 aircraft involved. Refuelers, attack aircraft, bombers, surveillance aircraft. We've got they're saying 1 submarine. There's probably 3 submarines there, not 1. There's 1 with each carrier group, so there'd be 1 with the Ford and 1 with the Abraham Lincoln. But I'm thinking there's at least a third one floating around there somewhere.
If Russia, so I'm sorry, I thought you were done talking.
Yeah. Well,
if Russia decides to give nukes to Iran and Iran uses these nukes, does that change everything for the way that we're going to deal with Russia? But if they've already done it and we already know about it,
Yeah, they've already done it. We already know about it. And this is our way of taking it away from them.
Like, what happens if Iran figures out a way to nuke us? Then what?
Well, actually, technically, with the Chinese hypersonic missiles and some modifications, technically Iran could nuke New York City right now. They've got the capability if they stripped a weapon down, a hypersonic, fired it. So they could, if they wanted to, they could do it now. But I don't think they have it put together yet, which is why I think this is the best time to do it.
Mrs. Smith says, none of you are listening in what this man is saying, including you, Rex. Listen. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was listening. Thank you for speculating. I appreciate that.
That's all right. You got a lot of speculators in your chat.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, geez, nobody's happy in here. Everybody's angry at everybody. Well, I get it. It's like, it's a pretty wild time to be alive right now. We're going through some opportunities. I mean, just turn off your social media. That'll light you up a little bit, or turn it on. That'll light you up. Turn it off. You'll probably feel better. Wow, man. So what do you see? What do you see the next move as, Lee?
Well, we have to continue to go through and decapitate the leaders in Iran, and I think that that's what the U.S. and the Israelis have been doing. I mean, they took out literally 40 senior Iranian officials in a matter of seconds. So
That's wild.
You know, that's a really good start. And you know, to go through, and we have systematically, again, you have to look at it. What the U.S. military is doing is just like when a Apache longbow shows up on a battlefield and is there to take out the enemy targets. Everybody has their priority of what the targets are, but the Apache's priorities are the highest because the Apache's the one there actually doing the firing. So the targets that you want to hit, you want to destroy everything, but the first thing you want to destroy are the things that can destroy the weapon system that's there. So when an Apache shows up, if there's a missile launcher site, if there's a radar site, if there's guys with man pads, those are the first targets that the Apache wants to shoot, because those are the things that'll shoot down the Apache. So you have to shoot the archer, not the arrow. So that's what we're doing right now, is the U.S. is going through, along with Israel, and is systematically identifying the biggest threats to Israel, to the United States, and to the assets at sea. And so they are taking out the long-range weapons first. They're taking out anything that can be nuclear. They're taking out anything that has the range of hitting Israel or the United States. You can rest assured that the missiles that the Chinese delivered are on that list, and you can rest assured that the facilities that are holding the items that the Russians' planes delivered into Iran, and you can bet your life the U.S. knows where those facilities are, and you can bet your life the U.S. knows which one of those buildings that equipment is hidden in. And so those are top priority on the targeting list. And so they're going to continue to take out the leadership, both civilian or religious, as well as taking out the leadership of the military, while systematically taking out command, control, communications, the bunkers for the aircraft, the bunkers for the weapons, hitting the long-range missile storage complexes with large bunker busters to cave in those facilities. So even if we don't destroy everything in the facility, we've buried it in there. So it's been entombed. So they will have to be able to dig in and get that out. So we're Joint Chiefs of Staff General Raisin Kane has done a tremendous job at carrying this offensive. I think this is one of the best. This and Venezuela is just showing the talent that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has. So,
do you remember the the news that came out after we captured Maduro, where I think even President Trump said this in a Truth Social post, something along the lines of they used technologies
They did.
that
They
were
did.
okay.
They
What tell us about this? What kind of technology are we talking about here?
They didn't.
The discombobulator, I think they call it.
The discombobulator is one of the greatest propaganda ruses that people have expanded on after the bullshit story was made up. So there were people who ran. There were people who fought. Those people who fought died. The people who survived ran and hid. So the people who ran and hid, they couldn't tell their leaders, oh, I ran and hid while all this was going on. No, they had some futuristic weapon thing that made me sick and made my nose bleed, and made me want to throw up and all this other stuff. Well, if people are putting this story out, why wouldn't you go along with it and claim that the U.S. has this crazy thing that doesn't exist? And so it's not there. They don't have a discombobulator.
Dang it. Sound-
Havana syndrome has already been proven to be drinking cheap booze. The Havana syndrome that's already been proven.
Now this is gonna stir some. This is gonna.
Well,
stir
I don't care. The documents already came out. The research has already been done. The people who got Havana syndrome had a hangover from drinking cheap booze at a bar. No one. The only people who got Havana syndrome are people who drank. So how and then they went and sampled where they were drinking at, and it was cheap brews, stuff they were making in car radiators and shit. That's the truth about Havana syndrome.
But what about the people that don't drink and have very similar effects?
I haven't found one yet.
I could introduce you to one.
Okay. Please do.
So no, and so see, here's the thing, folks. Like, I can be friends with Lee and still disagree with him on things. And I don't think that all your friends, like, do you have to agree with everything that your
No,
friends?
hey, Rex, I'll agree with anything as long as you can prove it.
Well, no, I'm just saying this to the audience, like, because it's amazing how people get so upset. They're like, well, this guy said this, so I don't like him. Like, dude,
well,
my best friends, I disagree with all the time. So it's interesting.
You don't disagree with me all the time, Rex. Come on now.
Well, no, but when it comes to certain things like having a cell phone tower next to a nursing home, or, like, I think that's a bad idea. And I remember I talked to you about this, and you're like, dude, if I got offered money to put a cell phone tower on my house, I'd do it. And I'm like, you're crazy,
right.
Lee. But that's
it's the frequency and your proximity to it, and whether you're in the beam or not, and what the power is. It's all relative. People don't realize when they were sitting in front of a TV all their life, when they were sitting in front of a television ahead of a TV tube, they were sitting in front of an ion cannon. They were having electrons fired at them constantly. You were being irradiated by your TV.
Or your
the
phone,
whole time.
or your router.
How many of us now have 3 eyeballs?
Well,
and 5G is going to kill you. Name all the people that are dead from 5G. 5G is the software format, the signaling protocol. It's the 5th generation. In fact, 5G uses frequencies we've been using for 20 years. I still don't have that third eyeball yet.
Well, you must use your third eye to see through the veil of deceit, Mr. Lee Wheelbarger.
No, I traded in my crystal ball for a snow globe. I like it a lot better. It's got Rudolph in there and Frosty the Snowman and stuff. Yeah, I use a snow globe. That's how I do my fortune telling.
You don't use the 8-ball? You pull it up?
No, absolutely not. Snow much better. More fun. You watch it all rain down.
5G sucks. Like, everybody,
depends on where you're at.
I thought it was going to be faster on my phone, but anytime my phone says 5G, it seems like it's
slower. But look where you live. Look where you live.
Right. So it's not really 5G.
The reason that it's slow. The reason that it's slow where you are is not because of the 5G. It's because of the internet that feeds it. The pipe is slow, not the network.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it's not really like a true 5G signal has to typically be pretty close to the receiver, right? Because it's like such a
Well, yeah,
fine.
it's right. It has shorter range, but that's so is that you can have more people on it. That means that the frequency won't propagate in a farther distance away and prevent you from using it a few miles away. What other?
We kind of got off subject a little bit, folks. Sorry, but I'm just, I appreciate a good debate. I appreciate looking at different perspectives is where I was going with that, because I think if we always agreed about everything all the time, there needs to be conflict. There needs to be resistance sometimes to get to things. But
I'm willing to announce anything that's the truth. So if somebody can prove something to me, I'll be more than happy. Send it to me. Prove it. If I'm wrong, prove it. That's how I've been my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're willing to look at, different scenarios, but
anything and everything. And the thing is I've been doing this for 14 years. I've looked at a lot of things. I've had a lot of people send me a lot of things. I pursued all this, chemtrails and stuff for years. Do people make rain? Yes, absolutely. But it's not nearly as prolific as people want to claim it is. People have a high humidity day and claim that it's contrary, or claim that it's chemtrails. It's not. It's just high humidity and exhaust. If you go back to the exact same spot on a dry day, you'll never see that. Contrails are a good way to tell what the humidity is in the air.
Is it usually a higher KP index?
Not necessarily. It's just moisture.
Let's jump into China and Taiwan now, if we can. Have you been keeping track?
Sure. Of course. So we don't believe that China is actually going after Taiwan. We think that China, yeah. Well, there was a secret document leaked from in China and a speech. And there's a saying, sacrifice we to save Wei. And so we think that considering they are moving more, well, look at the ferries that they've built, the bridge ferries, to be able to haul their weapon systems and get them ashore in Taiwan. If they were going to attack Taiwan, they would put those ferry terminals or those ferries near Taiwan. One would think. They're not. They're up near South Korea and Japan. So why would you have those on the Yellow Sea if you're trying to attack in the China Sea?
So you think they're going to invade
it's
Japan?
South Korea, and Japan.
Ooh, that's sneaky. Okay.
That's where they moved. They moved 1,400 armored personnel carriers to the shore there about 6 months ago. Why would you move 1,400 armored personnel carriers there if that's not where you're going?
Well, unless you want people to think you're going to go there when you really plan on going somewhere else. But how far away is it?
Yeah, but 14, it's hundreds of miles.
Wow. Okay. So what a great way to get people to think you're going somewhere completely different. And then that could be no wonder Japan and China are having some serious conflicts publicly when they said they would protect Taiwan. So you see China going after South Korea first, and then what?
South Korea? No. We think North Korea is going to do the South Korean thing, but because of the election, and South Korea now has somewhat of a communist leader to it, it may be easier for them than what it would have been before. But from what we understand from the leaked documents, China wants to attack Japan and South Korea, and when those two countries surrender, they're going to take Taiwan without ever firing a shot.
Okay. And that'll be like the South Pacific bloc, basically, like usurped in, or will it just be the CCP now?
They're just trying to take everything they can. China wants the United States. They're going to give Canada to Russia.
Wow. So you see Canada being annexed by Russia?
Yeah. Have you not seen the billboards that are in Russia that say that Alaska is actually part of Russia and we're going to take it back? They've got billboards in eastern Russia right now, just across the strait from Alaska, that say Alaska is part of America or part of Russia and we're going to take it back.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, they've wanted Alaska back for decades now.
Yeah, well, now they're moving more equipment into the area.
So
They've got huge military bases that they're building over there.
So we're seeing
just
seeing,
off of the string of islands of the Bering Sea.
Like what? Can you tell us?
They got nuclear submarines, nuclear missiles, tanks, troops. They got all kinds of stuff. They built huge facilities north of Japan.
Jeez. Are you seeing parallels?
Do two things. That'll. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm surely. Yes, I'm surely seeing parallel deployment of Russian military assets. And this thing in Ukraine, they're using Ukraine as a test bed and to deplete the U.S. and Europe of weapons. See, we're not in a wartime economy. They are. China's in a wartime economy. Russia's in a wartime economy, and they're in wartime production. We're not. They're producing hundreds of thousands of shells a month. We're not. They're producing hundreds of drones a day. We're not. So it takes a while to go from a non-military economy or wartime economy to a full-blown wartime economy and production. The U.S. is great for production, but we've got to get it started. That's what Trump is doing right now.
So if we go back,
depleting assets.
If we go back to pre-World War II, when I was saying parallels, I mean, do you see parallels with the planet politically, militarily, and what we're dealing with now? Parallels to pre-World War II and potentially pre-World War III.
We're already in World War II. We already have more conflict taking place around the world right now than we did during World War II.
Wow. Okay. When do you see everything going down?
It's already started. So we've already started with the conflicts in Ukraine. Now we've started with the conflict in Iran. So this is all part of a plan. This is a way to get U.S. assets away from China, U.S. assets away from Europe, and right around in the Middle East. And if there was ever a time that they wanted to take out our aircraft carriers, especially the Ford being in the Med, now would be a perfect time to do that because it's trapped. It either has to go through the Strait, down through the Red Sea, or it's got to go back out through the Strait of Gibraltar. There's only two exits. So that, I don't think, I mean, that's the quickest way to get the Ford to the theater and help protect Israel and be able to launch aircraft in a range. They don't have to do a lot of refueling. The carrier can operate out there in the Eastern Med, but that I don't like it with as many adversaries as we have around us. And then for the fact that before we went in the other night, Turkey knew we were going in because Turkey put up 6 drones, actually 7 drones in total. They put up one just north of Syria, but Turkey put up 6 drones along the Med to track our aircraft and our ships. Because Turkey is a two-headed animal. You can't trust Turkey any farther you can threaten the country.
I was going to ask you about Turkey. It does seem like they seem to be playing both sides.
Yeah, Turkey always plays both sides. Turkey does what's best for Turkey.
Man, I got to say, it's a pretty wild time right now. So don't we have like 100 plus F-35s along the border of Russia?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I don't know about around the border of Russia. I haven't counted up the total number around the border of Russia. I could do that. I don't know if it's 100 around the
I
border
mean,
of Russia.
okay, like they're sending a bunch to Finland and other nations.
Right, but not all of them are there yet. So orders and deliveries are two different animals.
What do you think of the F-35s?
I love the F-35. I like the F-22 also. I worked on the F-20.
I mean, that's a pretty big force of these jets, or let's say there's even 50 in and around Russia and the border. Would that be enough to stop Russia from invading?
No, you're gonna no, because of the manpower they have. You gotta have manpower to go along with it. You can't win a war on air power alone. That's the big problem that people are seeing with what's going on right now. With what's going on in Iran, is we're going in with air power, but we're not putting any troops on the ground. So we're hoping that the Iranian people are going to stand up and take their country back.
Man, that would be ideal. It kind of feels like the Arab Spring a little bit, except for this time after the protests and during the protests, the U.S. military intervened substantially. I mean, there was probably a lot of alphabet agency stuff going on back during the Arab Spring, but now it seems like it's military and special forces and clandestine operations, right?
Well, we do have a lot of clandestine, and I will give you a little tidbit of information. The location of all of the leaders in Iran was discovered by the CIA, not by Mossad or Israel. We're the ones that knew all the leaders were there. Some people said that it was Iran or Israel that told Trump that they were there. That's not true. The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, they were there, tracked them there, and that's how we knew they were all there.
Wow, man. Be safe, everybody. There is a lot on the plate right now. And Lee, like what else you got for us, man? Please I'm not even going to read the comments anymore because there's like 5 or 6 people in there that are just destroying it for everybody. And mods, if somebody gets too out of line, I've been doing my best.
There's stupid people everywhere. We ban them.
Yeah, that's what they're throwing a fit about.
You can't. Right. You can't tolerate stupid people, folks. Stupid people will make you stupid. The more you listen to stupid people, the stupider you become. Proof of that is people that listen to Scott Ritter, people that listen to Colonel McGregor, you know, the people who are paid Russian shills, but yet thousands and thousands of people listen to them every single day. In fact, hundreds of thousands of people listen to them every day. And there's just, look, there's got to be somebody for everybody. There's people who are smart. There are people who are stupid. There are people who are smart enough to see when somebody is smart, and there's stupid people who are dumb enough not to be able to see the truth. So I just delete them. That's how I deal with it. I don't have time for stupid people.
I mean, there's a lot of smart people that get hoodwinked and confused and fooled as well. So unfortunately, I mean, that's the thing, folks. You got like propaganda is so powerful on both sides. And I have seen over the past 10 years, a huge influx of, at least on the internet, where people seem to be like pro-Russia in America. And I think to myself, do you have any idea what would really happen if, like, do you really think that they have your best interests at heart being an American? Like, do you think that Russia would come in with love and just give you a big hug and be like, oh, we read your posts on the internet. You seem very nice. Come on. Oh, like, I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Hold on. I can't hear you. Hold on. I've got alarms.
Right
I got missiles
alert.
coming in.
Okay, what's going on right now? We're live, folks. So listen to this.
All these pins are live missile attacks.
It's not showing up. It's just the webcams. Mazda says, do you think that they will activate sleeper cells in America? And you touched on this a bit.
Hold on. I can't hear you over the alerts.
Okay, no problem. We'll get to that in a minute, folks.
Here.
Well, gee, thanks, Mark. After calling me disinformation, now you're going to say Mother Russia loves you, Rex. Thanks, buddy.
רותם, נירית, סלעית, עיניו.
What is he? What are they saying?
Those are all of the locations that missiles could be hitting right now. So they just sent out an alert to all the places that missiles be fired toward.
דימונה Industrial Zone. דימונה, קסר אל-סר, נבטים. ירוחם, תל-אביב, משאבי שדה, ביר הדאג', רביבים, רתמים, ואדי אל-נעם, South, שגב שלום, תל שבע, פדואל, עלי זהב.
Okay, so he's just saying the locations right now. Is that what he's doing?
Yes. Yeah. This
Okay.
is a significant attack.
גני עם, אלישמע,
They're attacking in the
ג'לג'וליה,
north. They're
ירחיב.
attacking in the north, central, and southern. And now we've got sirens going off. We got missiles going up over here. Missiles going up over here. Right here. We got missiles right here. We got missiles coming up out of Tel Aviv here. We just had one come up here. Here we got another one right here. See the missiles?
Yeah. Man, it's got to be a nightmare being out there right now.
We got sirens all over. They're all live cams.
You know, I mean, this is where things get real. And Haram Israel in the chat just said, this is real. And
I got explosions. Missiles going up. Missiles going up right here. See them?
Yes.
Yeah. These are air defense missiles going up right there. I got explosions. Yeah, this is a big one.
What kind of missiles do you think they're using, Lee?
They're using Iron Dome.
No, the Iranians.
Oh, you have no idea. They have several that they can choose from that'll reach Israel. So, all right, so that's cleared. Everything that's came in, they either shot down or didn't make it.
Wow.
Oh, we got more coming in. Another wave.
This is interesting. Have you ever seen I Pet Goat? That quick little short.
I can't hear you. I got alerts coming in.
Okay.
Oh, there's more. Oh yeah, this is a heavy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know who actually created that episode, Pet Goat, because.
Hold, Rex, they're still reading. I guess you can't.
Okay, copy that.
Yeah, give me a second.
Sure. So, folks, we're looking at live fire right now in the webcams over Israel. And we've got Lee Wheelbarger from KLW World News You can follow him on Rumble and YouTube.
So the person that said the Middle East is not your problem, tell that to the 3 dead people and the 14 wounded people in Austin, Texas. They'd love to hear that the Middle East is not your problem. They didn't think the Middle East was their problem either. Okay, Rex, I'm back. They've stopped sending out warnings.
I was just mentioning there's a video called Pet Goat or I Pet Goat or something like that, which has kind of created a cult following because it's very symbolic. It's just a few minutes and it's an animated short film, and it kind of incorporates a lot of the esoteric with events that some people think were connected potentially. But I would be interested to know who actually created that film, that short film, because if it is prophetic, and if there was, I'm saying clearly, if there was, then it'd be interesting to know who produced it, so you can say, oh, that person had potentially insider information. But anyway, so it's just it's a few minutes. You should watch it sometime, and then it'd be interesting to get your feedback on it. And folks, Lee doesn't really get into the woo much. He doesn't get into the paranormal much. He's pretty much nuts and bolts kind of guy. So
Facts.
That's and that's one of the things that I like when I talk to Lee is I don't get any of that. I just get, I get what he thinks and what he sees and what he knows. And we stick to the, as he says, the facts or the nuts and bolts. So I myself personally, I can see a lot of esoteric stuff that a lot of people don't pick up on. And, that's just my own mind recognition. I'm definitely a spiritual person as well, but I like to have friends from all different sides and walks of life. So I think that maybe that's why Lee and I get along pretty good, is kind of like opposites attract in that regard. But anyway, so Lee, man, this is crazy what's going on right now, man. But you foresaw this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to see robots next. Do you think robots are going to be on the battlefield?
Do what? I got rockets flying by. I've got missiles flying up. I got missiles right here.
Did you see those androids?
Sirens going off.
Okay. So we've got stuff going. I'm just wondering if you saw those robots that were doing backflips in China.
Ooh, got an explosion here. Just hit. Something just hit. Yeah, this is a major attack.
Rishon LeZion East, Rishon LeZion West, Bat Yam, Rosh Ha'ayin, Kfar Kasem, Hod HaSharon.
And he's still calling out locations, isn't he?
Yeah. This is major here. You should go over and pull it off of my YouTube stream, so you get a clean stream of it.
It's up right now.
Major attack on Israel. Major attack. Over 100 locations.
Wow, man. This is what I'm concerned about, is like this could potentially become a biblical war, because you've got, two different sides that strongly believe in what they believe in, and it's almost like they want to make it biblical.
Actually, we knew this was coming 4 hours ago, not 20 minutes ago. We knew this was coming 4 hours ago. We got the announcement from the Iranian public information officer, who said that the largest attack in Iran's history was about to be carried out against Israel. They announced it 4 hours ago. So we've been waiting on that.
They're going to run out of hardware.
Yeah, well, they've got
Iran.
thousands. There's more. I don't know if you're seeing that. If you can get all 4 of my screens, I don't know why the resolution of your system is making my images so fuzzy. We stream in 1080 and in 4K. So not sure why coming through here it's this bad, but if people want to see actually what the stream looks like, they can go over to my stream and see it. Just keep in mind, if you go over there and you're an asshole, my mods will ban you.
And you're at KLW News or KLW World News?
World News. We are at KLW News.
Okay. And you're live streaming right now on YouTube also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So people
There you
can
go,
over there and
folks.
see that it's clear.
Get a better resolution over there. When I pull up the one
Yeah.
image of just the location via maps, it comes in okay, but the video images, the webcam images.
Yeah, well, there's so many different images feeds I've got coming in that it's hard to switch them in the software to get them to you as fast as the missiles are going up. I can do it with my switcher, but that's not letting me change that. Actually, I could rebroadcast what I'm broadcasting to you up on the screen and switch between those and do it that way.
Are you in Florida right
There's
now?
Another explosion. Yeah, I'm in Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
How's it going out there?
Loving it. Got good
Nice.
friends down here. We're building out the KLW World News Network. We're putting 3 transmitters up in Florida just for the KLW Worldwide Network, the HFGCS. The KLW World News Network is growing by the day. More people signing up. So doing well. Yeah, there's stuff blowing up, Charles. We've done it here a couple times. I just can't get it to Rex fast enough for him to see it. But if you go watch my stream, rewind and see it.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you, Lee. Thanks for spending some time with me on here, and apologies for all of the aggressive comments in the chat.
Hey, that's their problem, not mine.
People are passionate, man. People are passionate. They're
Yeah.
upset. They're scared, and people are very outspoken sometimes. And I appreciate that. I would just ask that if you're going to come into the chat and, at least use constructive criticism. Don't just leave rude comments, please. You get a lot more.
Want to know why you didn't ask me anything about an elementary school. I'm going to be honest. He probably didn't ask me anything about electrical schools because I don't know anything about an elementary school. I don't know what you're talking about. What were you supposed to ask me
Allegedly,
about
there was a
elementary
school that got hit in Iran. I think that's what they're talking about.
I haven't seen it.
Man, that would really suck, wouldn't it, if that happened?
Well, if it does, I'll report it. I don't care on the reporting. I appreciate. I report whatever the truth is, folks. Some people can't handle the truth. Well, that's their problem. But I have not seen. And trust me, if a school got hit in Iran by anybody, I would be covering it. I have not seen it. So if it gets hit, I'll be sure to cover it. I'm not on anybody's side here. I'm just here to tell you the truth.
Here it is. This is I think what they're referring to. I'll just pull it up because it's available.
Somebody said they think it's a misfired missile, and that's true. That could be true too. That happens all the time.
Look at this. Even BBC picked up on it. Yeah, that sucks,
Okay,
man.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't watch the BBC because they put out too much false information. The BBC will run with all kinds of shit that isn't true.
The Guardian.
That's another outlet that'll run with stuff. You got to remember,
Fox.
A lot of folks run with a story before it's proven, and then you'll never see the retraction. So that's and it probably wasn't U.S.
Man, that sucks. That's the worst. Like, oh, man, that really sucks.
But Russia is bombing buildings like that every fucking day, but nobody says a word about it. They're bombing hospitals, nurseries, kindergartens, schools, houses, maternity wards. Russia does it to Ukraine every day. But yet people get their panties in a wad over this, but they don't say nothing about what's going on in Ukraine.
It's all terrible. It's all of it, man. All of the above. And that's why I said earlier, like, war sucks. War absolutely sucks. And it seems like it's a part of human civilization, because how many thousands of years have people been fighting each other? And a lot of it seems to be
Ukraine does not attack hospital. Ukraine, I'm responding to your chat. Ukraine does not attack hospitals. Ukraine does not attack churches. Ukraine does not attack public facilities. Ukraine does not attack apartment buildings. There's a big difference between what Ukraine is doing in this war and what Russia is doing in this war. I've been to Ukraine. I've fought in this war. I know exactly what Russia does. No, the U.S. Democrats got billions of dollars. You should study the kickback of what the U.S. did to Ukraine. So is that the U.S. would give Ukraine weapons, but then they would request that certain companies were the only companies that could carry the weapons. Biden got over $97 million in kickbacks from Ukraine. You guys need to study what actually happened in Ukraine. Obviously, there's many in here who know nothing about it.
But they know everything, Lee. Come on,
Yeah,
they know everything. Anyway, folks, I didn't want to do this podcast to stir the pot and get people upset. I wanted to do this podcast to bring the latest information and everything that we know. And Lee does have his finger on the pulse in many aspects. And I don't want to turn this into a pissing match with everybody, folks. So, like, go outside, take a deep breath. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to need a deep breath after this. I'm going to need to go on a freaking bike ride after this, because gosh, these comments are winding me up, and I'm doing my best to be agnostic and neutral on this, but I don't like seeing people upset. I don't like reading reports about death and destruction. This is terrible. What do we do?
I know what they said.
What do we do as a civilization to stop this? What can we do? Well, just remember, humankind, Hugh, the sound of God, man, manifest kind, manifest kindness, be good stewards of the planet. Do the best you can, and don't worry about the things you can't worry about. And if you want to know about stuff that isn't being reported in the mainstream news, watch Leak Project, watch KLW World News. And I need to go on a bike ride now, Lee. So I appreciate you taking time. And I hope you're not. I hope you're not upset from all these comments in the comment section.
No, I'm used to
you are.
I'm used to the guys in your chat who don't know history and attack me every time I come here. Not all of your followers, but you do have a collection of people who don't have a fucking clue. So I'm used to it.
I've got, it's interesting because I have a collection of people that think the same about me. They're saying about you. They come back anyway. And
that's right. It's probably the same people, Rex. It's probably the same people.
Might be, but I just one thing I do think that if somebody disagrees with us, it doesn't mean. I mean, they could be extremely smart. They could just I might be wrong.
Provide proof.
Folks, I get stuff wrong all the time.
Proof. That's all I ask for. Prove it.
But when I get things
wrong, all I ask is prove it.
I'll tell you. And
yeah.
And Lee says,
and anytime I ever get anything wrong, I'm the first person to admit it on the show. In fact, the AI that we have programmed, the KLW World News has programmed. I have my own AI assistant. That AI assistant is programmed that anytime I say anything wrong during a live stream, that AI is to call me out. Additionally, the AI is programmed that at any time when the show ends and we go off the air, the AI then brings up anything that it didn't bring up. So if the AI was in silent mode and couldn't speak when I said something that was inaccurate, at the end of the show, the AI tells me what I got wrong during the show and then makes a file, And at the beginning of the next show, we put out a retraction to say that what I said was inaccurate. If I said a wrong number, if I said a wrong place, anything I said wrong, we're actually programmed to correct ourselves if we ever do get anything wrong. And that's all we intend to do, is tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as we can prove it. So, if anybody's got anything that they say I have got wrong, then send me the information to prove I'm wrong, and we'll put it on the air. If it's good evidence.
Yeah, who decides if it's good evidence, Lee?
Well, I'm not going to take something that comes from someone who's been proven wrong and knows nothing about it. So Pee Wee Herman's not going to tell me about brain surgery.
Hey, how do you know? Maybe he was a surgeon in a previous.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Probably not. Oh man. All right. Well, folks,
And I'm not talking down to listeners. I'm talking to the idiots in here that have been talking shit about me for the last hour. So if you're one of those, well then, well. If you're not, then I wasn't talking to you.
dun dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. I got a soundtrack in my head now. What's that song from? Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, Star Wars, right? Is that Star Wars or Indiana Jones?
Yeah. No, that's not
Folks.
Indiana Jones. That's your attempt at Star Wars.
It's my attempt at Star. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Yep. Folks, be kind, rewind. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate you all. And even the trolls in the chat, like there's probably a heart in there somewhere. I know some of the trolls definitely have a heart, but there was a few comments that just, anyway, a little over the top. I mean, come on. You can say anything you want on the internet.
Somebody says, how do you know what's going on in Ukraine or Russia is doing or not unless you go there and see it for yourselves? I did go there. I was in Ukraine. I was on the front lines in Ukraine.
He was. I saw the photos. I've seen the photos. I've seen them.
So,
that's true.
When it comes to Ukraine, I can talk about that war. I've been involved in it since August of 2014. And I was on the battlefield in January of 2015.
Yeah,
I even predicted the second invasion of Russia 4 years ago. And I predicted it months in advance. And when it came down to the last 72 hours, I said they will go in the next 72 hours. And 48 hours later, they went across the border. In fact, we had 274 video cameras streaming it live. That's right. You don't know because you haven't been there. That's why you need to listen to people who have been. But so many people don't want to do that.
Man, I wonder if can you go to Ukraine right now as an American? If you're not CIA?
Can you go where?
I said, could you go to Ukraine right now if you're an American? If you're not CIA?
Sure, you can go to Ukraine right now if you're not. Hey, and Marine, you're entitled to your opinion. I don't know what it is, but
John, thank you for your service.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Absolutely. Thank you for your service. Semper Fi.
Yeah, man. One of my best friends is Marine, and we've been friends since middle school, and he's a good dude. He is a good dude. He served, and he is a tough dude too. That guy he's tough as nails. But anyway, man, yeah, everybody's passionate. Everybody has a right to an opinion. Just please do me a favor. If you're going to jump on and leave your opinions in the chat, make them constructive. Don't just make them insults, and it'd be better for everybody. So we want to keep it free as possible in the chat, where if you want to leave a comment, you're more than welcome to do that. But it gets to a point where like it becomes too much sometimes, and just keep that in mind, folks. And on that note, seriously, really appreciate you all, and Godspeed. May the force be with you. Be excellent to each other, everybody, and be the change you want to see. Thanks, Lee. I really want to talk to you again soon.
Anytime, buddy. You're welcome to call anytime you want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next time I go out to Area 51, I'll take you with me again.
Oh, that'd be great. Folks, Lee and I had a blast at Area 51. You can actually watch those. If you want to see like the nicer side of Lee, you should watch those videos where we're at Area 51 and he's not in war mode, because Lee's a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah, I'm not getting trashed in your stream.
Yeah, that's going to piss anybody off. Like, imagine let's reverse the positions here for a minute. Imagine you're the person in the chat talking, and then everybody else, and then you're reading the comments as you're giving your side of things and what you know is going on and what you see is going on, and then getting attacked. You might be even more upset than Lee. I think Lee's doing a fairly decent job of keeping his cool. Doing a better job than I would be. So. Yeah. Anyway, and it looks like there's over 100 people that have already left this chat and jumped on over to your stream since we told them to. So check us out at Area 51, folks.
All right.
You'd be glad you did. We're alien hunters, extraterrestrials. Thanks, Lee. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
great day.
everybody. Have a beautiful day.